My wife and I had been married for 6 years. We met at work and immediately clicked. Since workplace relationships were discouraged, I spent my time making her laugh, joking about our colleagues, and finding excuses to be around her. Eventually, I landed a great job elsewhere, and on my last day in the office, I finally asked her out. She said yes, and from that moment, we were inseparable. After a year and a half of dating, we got married, and it felt like the best decision of our lives. Then, the pandemic hit. At first, the lockdown was stressful. We had grown accustomed to having our own space during work hours, only truly spending time together in the evenings and on weekends. It wasn't that we didn't love each other, just that we had our own routines. The pandemic forced us to reevaluate our health. We had always been relatively fit, eating well, and staying active through our daily routines. But with the lockdown, we became sedentary, and the weight started creeping on. Once restrictions eased, we both decided to join a gym. Working out together became a shared passion. We went 3 to 4 times a week, growing more confident as we saw progress. Our gym was a local spot owned by someone we knew, fostering a sense of community. We recognized many of the regulars, which made the experience even better. One day, while driving home from the gym, my wife caught me off guard with an unexpected question. "Who's your gym crush?" I was surprised. It wasn't the kind of thing we normally discussed. She assured me she wouldn't take it the wrong way. She'd just noticed me glancing at some of the other women and was curious. She even promised to share hers if I told her mine. I thought about it and realized I was secure enough in our relationship to have that conversation. We were human, after all. Attraction was natural, as long as we never acted on it. So I told her. My gym crush was a woman we'll call Heather. She always worked out with her fiancé, Joe. My wife laughed. "That's funny," she said. "Mine is Joe." We teased each other about it, and that was the end of it. Or so I thought. Months later, I suffered a serious knee injury during a neighborhood basketball game. A torn ligament put me on the sidelines for months. I needed physical therapy and strict rest, which meant no gym. My wife, however, continued going regularly, and I had no problem with that. I was happy she was still focused on her fitness. But being stuck at home took a toll on me. I felt isolated and fell into a depressive slump. My body changed. I lost muscle, gained weight, and felt helpless as I watched it happen. I vented my frustration to my wife, and while she reassured me that she still loved me, her actions told a different story. She grew distant. She wasn't working since she'd been laid off during the pandemic, yet she was out constantly, always running errands. Our intimacy faded. I couldn't bring myself to ask if she still found me attractive. I was too afraid of the answer. Then, she started going to the gym even more. 5 or 6 times a week, far more than we ever had before. It felt like she was actively avoiding me. Months passed. I completed my recovery, finished physical therapy, and was finally cleared for light exercise. Eager to return to the gym, I went back with my wife. The regulars welcomed me back warmly, including Heather. She, like many others, asked how my recovery was going. But Joe? He kept his distance. Looking back, I realized he hadn't spoken to me once since I returned. Oddly enough, I couldn't recall him interacting with my wife either. Since I was still regaining strength, I eased into my workouts, going every other day. My wife, however, kept up her intense routine. One morning, she mentioned she'd be heading to the gym that afternoon. It was my rest day, so I stayed home. But as the hours passed, I felt restless. I decided I could at least cycle or walk on the treadmill, just to get moving. I arrived at the gym expecting to see my wife inside, but she wasn't there. I scanned the room, checked the weight racks, and even peeked into the group training area. Nothing. Concerned, I approached the front desk. "Hey, have you seen my wife?" The receptionist frowned, thinking for a moment. "I don't think she's been in today." A strange feeling settled in my gut. Something was wrong. I trusted my wife implicitly. When she told me she was going to the gym, I believed her. If she wasn't at home, then logically, she was somewhere between our house and the gym. But when I discovered that she never actually made it there, my mind raced to the worst possible scenarios. Panic set in as I jumped into my car, driving slowly through the familiar route, scanning for any signs of her car, an accident, anything. But there was nothing. No crash, no distress signal. Relieved yet unsettled, I called her as soon as I reached home. No answer. For the next hour, dark thoughts consumed me. I imagined her being held captive somewhere, powerless to call for help. Then, Suddenly, the front door opened. There she was, calm, composed, still dressed in her workout clothes, as if she had been at the gym the entire time. I asked where she had been. She confidently responded, "At the gym." My stomach twisted. I knew she was lying. I had been there. I hadn't seen her car, and I had even checked with the staff. I pressed her about it, sharing my concerns, but she brushed them off, blaming a possible shift change or claiming she had been in the sauna. Her excuses made sense on the surface, but deep down, I knew something was off. The nagging feeling wouldn't go away. That night, while she slept, I did something I never thought I'd do. I checked her phone. It didn't take long to find the truth. A name popped up immediately, Joe. Their messages were subtle but revealing. Expressions of missing each other, meticulous scheduling of secret meetups. My heart pounded as I pieced it together. They had been seeing each other multiple times a week. Worse, it started when I was at my lowest, recovering from an injury and struggling with my self-worth. Betrayal burned through me, but I needed undeniable proof. The messages, though incriminating, weren't explicit. I had to catch her in the act. I found a tracking app and discreetly installed it on her phone. My plan was simple: wait for her to say she was going to the gym, then follow her. 2 days later, she gave me my opportunity. She left as usual, gym bag slung over her shoulder. I waited 30 minutes, then checked the tracker. She wasn't at the gym. My heart pounded as I followed the app's location to an unfamiliar address. When I arrived, I saw her car parked in the driveway. My worst fears were about to be confirmed. I needed access to the house, but breaking in wasn't an option. Then, I noticed an electric bill in the mailbox. I took a risk, opening it to find the homeowner's name, Heather. I searched for her number, called, and told her everything. Skeptical at first, she agreed to meet me there. When Heather arrived, she was visibly tense. The moment we reached the front door, her suspicion deepened. Her husband never used the chain lock, yet today, it was in place. Determined, we snuck around to the back, and she let us inside. Music echoed from the bedroom. My stomach churned as we moved closer. I still clung to a sliver of hope that this was all a misunderstanding. Heather pushed the bedroom door open, and there they were. Frozen in shock, my wife and Joe stared at us. Heather erupted, swinging her purse at him, screaming betrayal. My wife scrambled to cover herself, fumbling for an excuse. "It just happened," she stammered. "At the gym. It was the first time, I swear." I laughed bitterly. "I know you're lying. There's no point pretending," she pleaded, trying to convince me that we could work through it, that she regretted everything. But I was done. I told her I was filing for divorce. Her demeanor shifted instantly. Anger replaced desperation. As I turned to leave, she spat venomously. "You never satisfied me anyway. I was never attracted to you." I paused, letting the sting of her words settle. The second part was a lie, I knew that much. But the first? That hit deep. In the weeks that followed, Heather and I both filed for divorce. We documented everything for our attorneys, making sure the truth was known. I kicked my wife out of the house. With nowhere else to go, she moved in with Joe. They rushed into marriage a few months after our divorces were finalized, convinced they were meant to be. Now, they're divorcing. Joe cheated on her with another woman from the gym. Heather and I still talk occasionally, finding humor in the poetic justice of it all. My ex-wife, who once enjoyed the comfort of my financial stability, now works tirelessly to support herself, while also paying for 2 divorce attorneys.